I want to say a vort from the Maamer Veata Tetzaveh, which of course is so important. That what the Rebbe does in this Maamer is he takes a Maamer from his predecessors, presents what they say, presents it in short, and questions it. And on the basis of those questions, the Rebbe adds a lot of new ideas to develop the Maamer Veata Tetzaveh. So the way I teach it is, there's the point of the Maamer and the message of the Maamer. Those are the two big ideas that I share. So I probably talked about the message last week. The point of the Maamer is as follows. The way I understand it, this is just one man's opinion. That's all this is. That when you learn about the Tetzava, the Friedrich Rebbe's Maamer explains what Moshe Rabbeinu's role is. Moshe Rabbeinu means the Rebbe de Nasi Ador, which means a neshama yid, a soul Jew, who's spiritually connected to the souls of each one of us. And like it says in Tanya Perek Beis, this connection, this dveikus with the tzaddik, connects us to the Eibishter. Uladovka boy says the Sifri hadbek b'talmidei chachamim. Dveikus and Hashem is dependent on dveikus and talmidei chachamim. And the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya chapter 2 that this means a spiritual dveikus, even though in halacha the Dovka boy is translated as a series of rituals, a series of actions. Alter Rebbe says no, it means the spiritual connection between the neshama of the yid and the neshama of the tzaddik. And as the Rebbe says in the Kudasichas, the Rebbe is a mutzah mechaber, and chas v'shalom a mutzah mafsik, which connects us to Atzmos and Hussein Sa Baruch Hu. So the Rebbe explains what his role is, how he does it. And then the Kudah is that he's on the Mefana says Yisrael Binyan Amunah. He nourishes and provides all the provisions for our Amunah. And the point that he makes is Amunah we have from the others. Trudi Merei Shamana. Amunah we have from the others, from Avraham Avinu. But the Amunah that we have from the others could be makif, right? Could be indirect, meaning I believe in God, but I don't believe in God enough to make decisions that reflect that belief. So you need to internalize the faith, you need to personalize the faith, you make God real internally, and that's the role of the Rebbe. Zon Mefana says Yisrael. Binyan Amunah means the Amunah which we have in our neshama needs to be internalized, needs to be strengthened in such a way that it'll affect our behavioral lives. This is what the Friedrich Rebbe says in his Maamer. The Rebbe has questions on this, specifically on the issue of Kosas Lamoyer. The reason it's a question is because Kosas Lamoyer seems to say that the function of a Rebbe only happens in extreme times, not at ordinary times. And the beginning of the Maamer seems to imply that all Rebbes, all Moshe Rabbeinus have an identical role. And the Rebbe comes up with an original idea which you do not have in Maamorim of the earlier Rebbeim, which is that a Rebbe has a dual role. I think this is the point of the Maamer. Not the message of the Maamer, the point of the Maamer. The point of the Maamer is that a Rebbe has two jobs, not one. And he calls them Ikir Inyan Rai Mehemna and Teitzas Inyan Rai Mehemna. The primary role of Rai Mehemna, of a trusted shepherd, and the Teitzah, the result, the effect of the trusted shepherd. Meaning the first role and the second role. What's the difference between Ikir Inyan Rai Mehemna and Teitzas Inyan Rai Mehemna, the primary role of a Rebbe, the secondary role of a Rebbe? So the Rebbe answers because Ikir Inyan Rai Mehemna, again, these are my words now, are always the same, never changes. Which is Zon Umefadnis Es Ho'emuna Atzmo. Which means the first role of a Rebbe is to touch the neshama on a subconscious level and connect the neshama to the Yechida Shebenefesh. So that, by linking the neshama to the Yechida Shebenefesh, the Yechida adds power, the Pintel Yid adds power that our Amunah should translate into behavior. But this is subliminal. You see, this you don't even know about. The Rebbe does this, as the Rebbe would often say the expression, he sits in his room and he finds Yiddish and neshamas and he tickles them, he irritates them, he triggers them. So it's a spiritual role. The Rebbe said more than once in public that the Rabbeim had a habit of simply saying the names of their Chassidim. You know that? They would say the names of their Chassidim. In the library here, the Rebbe's library has, besides for Sfarim, a lot of other kinds of artifacts. One of the things that exists in the Rebbe's library is what was called Sefer Chassidim. If you look in the Hayom Yom in 1962, which is 60 years ago, it says Nigma Sefer Chassidim. we completed the Sefer Chassidim. The Rebbe asked that every chassid, it may have been an initiative from maybe someone like Rabbi Shmuel Zalman, I don't know, that every chassid should write a brief history of himself, his background, his education, and his family. In my family's WhatsApp, they found the card belonging to my Zayda, Rabbi Paltiel, where he writes his name and where he learned and how old he is and how many children he has and how the children are married and who the grandchildren are and so on. So in 1963, this was completed. There was a series of cards made with the names of each chassid and his family. And the rumor is that the Rebbe had in his room, in that file cabinet, which is permanently locked, index cards. I don't know if it was the same index cards or other index cards, but it had poshet the names of chassidim. And that the Rebbe would periodically take out these cards and look at them. Read the names of poshet, the name of chassidim. Or the Rebbe did tell stories about how the Frierdiker Rebbe walked into his father and he saw his father pacing the room and orally saying the names of chassidim. So the Rabbeim used to arouse the thoughts about their chassidim and me'edah for them and Achmem Rabbim. There's a story that Leibel Grona told over. There was a Yid who almost never came to 770. He lived in Crown Heights, but he never came to 770, lived in the farther end of the neighborhood. And one day Rabbi Grona walks into the Rebbe, and out of the blue the Rebbe says to him, you know, what's going on with this guy? I haven't seen him in a long time. So Rabbi Grona says, I don't know. That afternoon the man shows up in 770. Hasn't been 770 in months, and Rabbi Grona says, do you come to 770? He says, I never come to 770. Why did you come here today? He says, I'm really not sure why. Because you know the Rebbe asked about you this morning. He asked, that's all the Rebbe did was ask, was macht er? That was enough. The Rebbe is Ma'eder Rachem Rabbim Chassidim. And I want to say, of course, that it's not only Chassidim. Chassidim are Kodev. So the Rebbe perhaps thinks about us more often. But every Jew in the world is the Rebbe's Chassid. Is the Rebbe's Akint. And he's Ma'eder Rachem Rabbim for each one of us. This is a spiritual process, a spiritual activity, which doesn't change from one Rebbe to the next. Then there's Tetzava, Senior Imam, the secondary role of a Rebbe, which is his leadership. How he actually guides and counsels. And here there's huge differences. Because the leadership is not a reflection of the Rebbe's personality, in quotations. The leadership is a reflection of the situation in the world at that time. What the people need. Right? The Rebbe speaks to us where we are, not where he is. So the leadership changes from generation to generation. So the Rebbe answers the question, which is arises because of the Kasas Lamor with this notion that not every generation has Kasas, but every generation has Moed. Every generation has the idea that the Rebbe touches the Neshama, the Yechidah Sheba Nefesh. In generations of Kasas Lamor, it's more complete in whatever ways. I think this is the point of the Maamer. On this foundation, the Rebbe develops what amounts to three different Moshe Rabbeinus, which I believe I talked about last Sunday. Moshe Rabbeinu Agashmi, who gave Yidden Das. Mordechai, during the year of the decree, who aroused Yidden for Mesiras Nefesh. And Mordechai, after the Nes happened, who rouses Yidden to be desperate for the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. So this is our thought for now. And before the next class, I'll say another thought.